works, or at least indicate that it's doing something beneficial. And I also made the point in my talk that you can't forget about safety and efficacy. And as part of that, you cannot make the assumption that just because something is safe for 99% of people, that it will be safe in a given disease state. An example of that may be those two patients, and I won't know the answer until after next week, whether they were on NAC at the time. When I set up that study, I thought if anything, NAC might help with liver disease, but I may find out in a small subgroup of patients that NAC is actually not something that we should be giving to those particular kids. I don't know yet, but we will know because the study's done. When you just try, the mouse studies are absolutely critical. They're promising. But when you take that and just apply it, the problem is 5 years from now, we won't know. None of these things that we're looking at currently are going to cure NPC. They will, if they work, they'll have an incremental benefit. So if I give something and it had a dramatic benefit, I could see that. That's my signal. Or if I give something and it makes the kids real sick, I know that I better stop it. That's a good signal. But every parent in the room, if I said, I have a drug that will improve things by 10%, a small improvement, you say, let's go for it. Look for the next drug and add the two of them together. But I can't see 10% because of the problems of NPC, numbers, the variability. That's what we're working on with biomarkers. You can't see 10% improvement. You can't see 10% negative either. And so I caution you about just trying things. I can guarantee you will give them to your kids. A good portion of you will come back and say they're doing better afterwards. And it's a placebo effect. I mentioned earlier, we're all subject to it. I understand the drive to try it. I think the mouse data says that this is the avenue that should be pursued. Okay? And we're assembling the tools to try to pursue it. One of the first steps in the process was NAC, an antioxidant. But anti-inflammatories are obviously something that should be tested. They're only addressing, it's like the antioxidant, it's only addressing the downstream aspects. So you're expecting to see a small difference. A couple of the questions had to do with, well, what about the combination of things? And that's obviously what we're working towards. In fact, the NAC trial was a combination trial. About half the patients are on miglustat. I left it in. The numbers are very small, so I don't know that we could ever see a signal. But we have the potential when we look at that data to realize, oh, it worked in the kids on miglustat. You know, the two things together seem to give us a signal or not. It's purely hypothetical at this point, but that was a combination trial, and that's what we're working towards. You start putting these things together, and you want to know that the individual components have at least some potential benefit. Because you could start adding things together, and what happens if NAC, ibuprofen actually would work, but NAC causes a problem with it. And there are plenty of examples of that happening through drug interactions in medicine. So if you put something in the regimen, you really want to have an idea that it's at least providing some benefit so it doesn't come in later and cause a problem with you. The questions are very good. It's what we're working towards. If we're nibbling away at pathological processes until we get something that addresses the NPC1 protein itself, we've got to put together a combination. But we want to know those individual elements work, or at least have the promise of working. so that when we put them together, hopefully will be able to show not only are we moving biomarkers, but also clinical aspects. It takes time. And I know that's the most critical thing out there. We as researchers think we're moving fast, but it's never fast enough. We know that. We're trying to do things to speed it up. Biomarkers are not perfect, but it's a tool to try to speed up things and try to help put some of these things together. So any of the parents that have seen me, I'll point blank say I'm not critical of what you choose to do, but I owe it to you to tell you from a researcher, from a physician standpoint, why I wouldn't do it that way, or why I don't think that that's the approach to do it. I would caution you to be careful because things that you don't expect to cause problems can inadvertently cause problems. And so there's a couple of terms in the questions. Recommend, should, those kinds of things. I would never put it that way. These are experiments. When we do them, they're experiments. Marcus used this term. When you do them with your child, it's an experiment. So should and recommend are not terms that I use. But these are things we're working towards. And we will get there. It's just very frustrating for the parents that it takes time to get there and to know the components we come together. I'll just bring up one example with ibuprofen. These are things that don't show up in the paper, but if you talk to Dr. Black, he actually had problems getting it early on. They think because when you gave it to the very young mice, they were running into problems with the liver. They see that with some of the drugs. The mice have liver disease and problems with metabolism. So sometimes when you see mouse experiments, you see the optimized situation. And even though the drugs appears to work there, you have to realize when you do it to patients, we also have to look at that safety and efficacy. Sometimes we find out that maybe there's patients we shouldn't be doing it. There's a question related to, I guess, ibuprofen and platelets. So platelets are low in the majority of FPC patients, lower than what would be considered normal. Very few patients ever get down to a range where platelet numbers would be low enough to be a leading problem. So it's a finding that we see. I don't think it's a big issue on single doses for normal. If a child has a fever, you give ibuprofen. Obviously, liver disease is also an issue with this kind of thing. Single doses in normal amounts for a short period of time type of thing are not a big deal. It does become a question when you start to say, I'm going to use it as a therapeutic agent. I'm going to use constantly. And those are the things that we check on. The people who participated in the NAC trial, I put up there, we saw kids at 0 and 8 weeks apart. But those kids would get blood drawn every 2 weeks through the study. So we were checking on things. And those we were calling safety